What is the motivation for this remake of this classic song for you personally?
Well, the first version of Where's the Love was written after 9/11. And every time something happened horrible in the world, people would play that original version. And recently, you know, people were asking us to do a new version of Where's the Love. And my heart just couldn't cry any longer, so I had to rinse out all that pain and all those tears in this new version of Where's the Love. After Paris, after Brussels and Turkey, after Orlando, and all the mass shootings that we had in America, the police and civilian clashes in inner cities, you know, just all these things that just break our heart time and time again. We wanted to, you know, write this song so people don't forget, because every time something bad happens, we all go back into our little worlds, you know, a week later and forget about the things that happen and lose attention away from people solving these problems.
Yeah, and that's such a diverse range of problems that you're trying to address there. I know one of them that you're particularly worried about, the refugee crisis, has even led you to actually visit the notorious jungle camp, as it's known, in Calais. What was your experience like of the conditions that the refugees were living in? And do you have some sympathy for local people who have a real issue with that camp and people who are worried about the arrival of refugees?
So, you know, I'm torn because I see and understand the fears that people might have with refugees coming into their country and their neighborhoods. But then at the same time, I empathize, not only sympathize with the folks who have fled their country wanting a better life. And do you sit comfortably in your home and, you know, ignore folks that just want water and food and, you know, shelter after, you know, fleeing from a war-torn country? Like, these people in these refugee camps aren't the ones that were creating the problems. They're people just like you and I. And the way the world is going, who knows, one day we might be refugees. You cannot say that we are all safe given all the horrific things that are happening. So the only thing you can have is compassion for others. The only thing you can do is open your heart and lend a hand for those that probably just need, you know, a hand to grab. Because the other hand that they had experienced and had the gun on the other end. So I just wanted to go there and just see the conditions that we're living and see how I could contribute. And the things that they needed most was just water. They needed feminine hygienes. They needed blankets and pillows. And so when I went there, I saw firsthand with the camp leaders and returned with gallons, truckloads of water for them. And I told them I'll do everything I can in my power to raise awareness. And we have on where'sthelove.com a section where folks can donate not just to that charity, but the Orlando One Post charity, Alton Sterling, Philandro Castile, and all the countless of people that, you know, just the times that we're living in are subject to just these hard times.
Let me jump in, specifically about the racial tension in America, the Black Lives Matter campaign, a social media campaign with that hashtag. It's come to Britain as well. You've now got major sportsmen and women in America who are kneeling or sitting during the playing of the national anthem and being accused of disrespecting the flag. Doing this, they say, to bring attention to police brutality against African Americans in particular. What is your view of the Black Lives Matter campaign? Do you think it's going to help harmony with racial discord, or do you think it may actually have the opposite effect and end up being more divisive?
Black Lives Matter is needed because there's all this unrest and all these question marks on how can we spend trillions of dollars on a war in a country when here in places like Chicago, people are warring with each other. And if you look at where the warring with each other is happening, you'll notice that the start of it all is as simple as $4,000 per year per child's education. Right now, that may sound abstract for folks, but when you don't educate a person in their community, and it just so happens to be African American communities where there's $4,000 per student per year. But if you look across the pond at Brentwood and Beverly Hills, where a kid gets $11,000 per year per student, you'll notice that when you compare them, Beverly Hills and Brentwood, people graduate college. There is no civilian law enforcement clashing. There is no liquor stores and check cashing places, and people don't go to prison there. But if you look at $4,000 per student per year, you'll see that there's civilian clashing, black on black crime, people are in and out of correctional facilities, and to top it all off, America's leading the world in prisons, and it just so happens that those people that are in prison come from neighborhoods where people are getting $4,000 per year per student. So really, it's an educational problem. That's the reason why my foundation focuses on getting kids up to speed, learning STEM, learning computer science and whatnot, to take them off the streets. Black Lives Matter starting at 7 years old, and if we don't have education reform, it's the do-gooders that are gonna have to just aim their focus in protecting our 7-year-old little kids.
What was he like when you were with him for the short period of time that you were married to him?
In the beginning, he was a very thoughtful, charming, funny being.